Now it's tax help time again. Here's Manjit Singh CPA with some important information for our viewers.
Folks, good morning. It's June 25th, Saturday morning, and June 30th is the deadline for filing the FBAR reports. We have talked about it, beaten to death. Today I am honored to have Paula M Junghans with me talking about the FBAR. She was the first case litigated in FBAR in the way early 1990s. Ms. Junghans' background is Acting Assistant Attorney General for Tax Division under the Department of Justice, and she's been involved in the tax litigation work, controversial tax litigation work for the past 30 years plus. Ms. Junghans, welcome.
Thank you.
Ms. Junghans, first of all, I'd like to say that I understand the FBAR reports, foreign bank account report form, or the process, is a three-prong. We need to report on our income tax returns, which have already been done for the year 2010. At the bottom of Schedule B, that we have signature authority on $10,000 or more in a foreign bank account. Second aspect is, did we pay income taxes on income that we had overseas? Did we pay income taxes in the US as well on that income or not? And the third aspect is filing the form TD 9222, whatever the code is, which is due on June 30th. Would you like kindly elaborate on that?
Sure. And this is a subject that's getting a lot of attention these days. It wasn't always as popular as it is right now. And so a lot of people aren't as aware of the filing requirements, and they are somewhat technical. As Mr. Singh said, these are actually a group of interrelated requirements that relate to both your tax return and a separate filing, which is called the FBAR, or the Foreign Bank Account Report. But the first question is, who has to do this? If you have more than $10,000 in a foreign account, and that account can be a lot of things. It can be a bank account, it can be a securities account, it's not simply cash in the bank. And if you have more than one account, if the aggregate of all of those accounts is more than $10,000, so if any one account or the accounts together, at any point during the year, even if it's only for one day, if the value of those accounts exceeds $10,000, and you have what's called signatory or other control over the account or the accounts, then you have to both check the box on your tax return and file this other form. And it's really important to keep in mind what other control means, because everybody understands, I think, what it means to be able to sign on a bank account. But for example, if the signer on the account is somebody over whom you exercise de facto control, so that you can say, I want X dollars out of this account, and that person will do it for you, then you have the kind of control that that triggers the filing requirement for you. And they are actually two different reports. One is, as Mr. Singh said, on the Schedule B of the tax return at the very bottom, there's a question that says, did you at any time during the year have signatory or other authority over a foreign financial account? Yes or no? And if yes, it requires you to identify the countries. The FBAR form, which is called TDF, as in Frank, 90.22-1, and can be found on the internet, even if you put in the words FBAR, or the letters FBAR, that gets filed with a separate part of the Treasury Department on a separate date and separate and apart from your tax return. It's filed on or before June 30th. So while you can get an extension to file your tax return all the way up till October, you can't get an extension to file the FBAR. That's filed on or before June 30th. And it requires you to give more detail. So you have to identify the accounts that you're responsible for, both by account number, bank, country, and the amount in the account. You don't have to say precisely to the penny, but you do have to give a range of values in the account, like, I forget exactly, but I think it's up to 10,000, 10,000 to $1 million, over $1 million, whatever. And the failure to do that is punishable both by criminal penalties and civil penalties, which are quite severe. Do you want me to talk about the penalties?
Absolutely,
Okay.
please.
Well, the penalty, the criminal penalty, of course, is a potential criminal prosecution, as well as if you were to fail to answer the question on the tax return or to give a false answer. The civil penalty for failing to file the FBAR can be, if the government can prove that your conduct was willful, that is, that you knew you were supposed to do this and you didn't do it, 50% of the value of the account per year. So if, hypothetically, if you had $1 million in your account and you failed to file an FBAR for 2009 and 2010, the penalty could be $1 million, $500,000 per year. So that's a very, very severe potential penalty.
Are there any waivers for those penalties?
Well, not automatically. I mean, if a person can demonstrate a lack of willfulness, the penalty can be reduced or even can be not asserted at all. But it's a question of the person's mental state. It certainly is not waived just because it would be a hardship at all. Mm-hmm.
Now, what can an individual do to help himself or herself out? Before you answer that question, let me backtrack a second. When we are reporting the account of $10,000 or more, is that since the returns are done on a joint basis, husband and wife, are we looking at each individual account for the husband and the wife as a joint for $10,000, or each individual need to report on their own FBAR report?
There are provisions for a husband and wife to have a common reporting on one FBAR. If both of them control or have the ability to control the account, one person can file the FBAR, and there is a place on the FBAR to say that it's being filed on behalf of the spouse as well. But on the tax return, let's just say it's only the husband's account, but it's a joint tax return. The answer would still have to be given on the joint tax return, yes, because one of the two joint filers has that control over the foreign account.
Okay. Folks, we are kind of running out of time today, and we would like to continue discussion next week. I'm going to request Ms. Junghans to give us more information on something that we all can participate in, not getting penalized as heavily, as severely as she has described just now. So folks, don't forget, see us again next week.